Trains in the UK are often seen as unpleasant, expensive and generally poor value for money, but have you ever tried this one? Transport for Wales' premier service allows you to have an incredible first-class dining experience from Manchester to Cardiff, and you'll be experiencing this with me on this incredible journey from England to Wales, including my tips for getting the best fare. Now sit back and enjoy the ride. The journey down to Cardiff this afternoon begins at Manchester Piccadilly, the main station serving the UK's third largest city. Opening back in 1842 as Store Street, the station was renamed several times before the current name was adopted in 1960. The station is well plugged into the tram and bus network serving Greater Manchester, so you'll have no problem reaching it to undertake your journeys. The inside of the station consists of several levels. The one we're on now is for the platforms as well as most of the shops where you can prepare for your journey. The upper level contains restaurants and cafes, whilst the lower level is for access to other transit such as the Metrolink. This consequently makes Manchester Piccadilly one of the busiest stations in the UK, being the 13th overall with over 23 million entries and exits between 2022 and 2023, which makes it the third busiest station outside of London. A quick glance at the departure board shows that our train to Cardiff will be departing from platform 10 and its arrival is due imminently. Unlike most UK railway stations, Manchester Piccadilly conducts manual ticket checks, though these are done from platforms 8 to 14, with platforms 1 to 7 using the traditional ticket barriers found across the country. The main train shed is a classic design and in my opinion really highlights the importance and status of this station in connecting Manchester with other UK destinations. The station is served by 6 train operating companies, including Avanti West Coast for services to London and Transpennine Express services for long distance runs to key cities in the north of England and Scotland. I actually arrived here from Scarborough on one of the latter's Nova 3 sets, which since this video was recorded have been retired at the grand age of 5 years old. Transport for Wales are responsible for the links between Manchester and Wales. One service per hour serves the North Wales coast via Chester, whilst another per hour runs to South or West Wales via the Welsh Marches. Services previously used these modern Class 175 units until their withdrawal in mid-2023, where they now sit in storage pending an uncertain future. Nowadays, Transport for Wales uses a mixture of new and existing diesel multiple units on these routes, like the Class 158 seen here. However, one train per 2 hours between Manchester and South Wales typically sees something special being used, with our train for Cardiff pulling in now. Here's our train, a Transport for Wales premier set. This consists of 4 British Rail Mk4 carriages built in the late 80s and early 90s, led by a Class 67 diesel locomotive built by Alstom between 1999 and 2000. At the rear of the train is a Mk4 driving van trailer, allowing the train to be driven in a push-pull formation and features advertisements for Transport for Wales' chosen charities. If the sets look familiar to you, well, you're right. These are former L&ER Intercity 225 sets used on the East Coast Mainline, which were shortened and modified for the Transport for Wales Premier service between Holyhead and Cardiff, and replaced the older Mk3 coaches used on this route, which failed to comply with disability regulations post-2020. Transport for Wales then purchased the ex-Grand Central Mk4 sets planned for use on their AXE Blackpool to London service, which has since allowed the trains to extend their sphere of operations on the Manchester to Cardiff and Swansea routes since the December 2022 timetable change, finally giving this route the intercity service it so long deserves. Anyway, the train is now available to board around 10 minutes before departure. But before we do so, let's take a quick look as to how I booked my tickets for this service. I booked my tickets for this trip through the sponsor of this video, Trainpal. Trainpal is an amazing ticketing app that allows you to save money on UK and European train travel. It mainly does so using innovative split ticketing when actively searching for the best fares, a legal loophole which breaks your journey down into several legs whilst at the same time saving you money. For example, if I want to go all the way down to Penzance from Cardiff, the original ticket price is £71, but thanks to split ticketing, the price is brought down to just over £30, which is a saving of almost 60%, and that's all from staying on the exact same train over numerous journey legs. Another thing to note is that there are no booking fees charged, and you're allowed to either use e-tickets or paper ones, making it very versatile. You can increase these incredible savings further with vouchers offered in my special code, just for you, my viewers. When using Trainpal, use code LONDON05 to get 5% off UK and European train ticket vouchers if you're a new user, or 2% if you're an existing one. Still not convinced? I'm also offering you 34% off all UK railcards in the code too, so give it a go! First class is in a 2x1 layout and makes up one carriage of this 4-car set. I personally find the table seats less cramped than the solos, so the former's our seat today. Despite the name of the line and the company we're using, the majority of our journey actually takes place in England. We follow the line from Manchester to Crewe, where we then split from the main West Coast route onto Shrewsbury and the Welsh Marches. We cross into Wales shortly after Hereford, where we then continue to Newport and finally Cardiff Central, where we're expected to arrive at 5:45 PM this evening, after over 3 hours of travel and covering 182 miles. We leave Manchester on time at 2:30 PM UK time. The first point of interest almost immediately after leaving Piccadilly is Longsight Depot, where Alstom performs heavy maintenance on the 56-strong Pendolino fleet used by Avanti West Coast, though other trains visit here for exams and light maintenance on occasion. Not seen in this shot but on the other side of the depot is the Manchester International Depot, originally earmarked for regional Eurostar services from mainland Europe, which sadly never happened. Around 10 minutes later, we cross the Stockport Viaduct, one of the UK's largest brick structures completed in 1840, taking roughly 11 million bricks to complete this Grade 2 listed structure, which carries our train over the M60 motorway. We then proceed to call at Stockport station itself mere moments later, a key hub for most services south of Manchester and beyond. After moving on to the Manchester to Crewe line, the next stop is Wilmslow, serving the market town and civil parish in the county of Cheshire. Most of you familiar with this station will know that it hasn't had a very good track record in recent years, with quite a number of trains failing and even catching fire here. An example of the former is evident when the last Mk4 set I took started from here owing to infrastructure failures. One noticeable difference between the Premier sets compared to the multiple units Transport for Wales use is their ability to reach higher speeds. Well, slightly and very briefly. The Manchester to Crewe line has a maximum speed of 110 miles per hour, which is easily reached thanks to the Class 67 and Mk4's top service speed of 125 miles per hour. Okay, so what about the features of first class? Well, starting with the seat, this is very comfortable, being well padded and ergonomically designed to a standard expected from a first class product. On the aisle side, the armrest can be adjusted, and on the window side, you'll find a standard UK 3-pin power socket to charge portable devices. Legroom on these coaches is fantastic, and this was despite sitting opposite my friend for a good portion of the journey. This can be adjusted as you wish using the recline button, which when pushed and held, works by sliding yourself forwards and backwards. The coaches still use the same seat reservation system they had under LNER, though as can be seen it's seldom used. Since this video was recorded, Transport for Wales have added headrests as seen on the LNER sets, which have the option of card reservations in the event the system goes down. There's also a reading light above, which complements the mood lighting nicely, which also highlights the overhead luggage rack storage, though this is of course much smaller in comparison to the larger ones you'll find near the vestibules. Despite these coaches being over 30 years old, recent refurbishments done during their time on the East Coast means there's a rather decent space for PRM users, with both foldable chairs and table sections to suit their needs accordingly. Finally, you'll find coat hooks just next to the curtains, which can be moved to block the sunlight should it get too harsh, or if you just want some rest. As with the sets remaining with L&ER, the interiors remain solid despite being in need of the refurbishment that ex-Grand Central sets have received, but it's still brilliant and miles better than the diesel multiple unit fleet offering by Transport for Wales. The site of the Crewe Heritage Centre in the background indicates that we're approaching Crewe, our next stop on our route today. One of the major hubs on Britain's principal West Coast Mainline is often dubbed as the centre of the railway universe by enthusiasts as a result, with it living up to its name as we speak. Delayed Avanti services on the main stretch of the West Coast has meant that our set needs to be held here for a while, as will instead be crossing the main junction into Shropshire and the Welsh Marches. One thing to look out for as we leave Crewe is Heritage Tour operator Locomotive Services Limited's depot and their gorgeous display of vintage rolling stock in the classic Intercity livery. I reviewed their stunning Class 90 sets around 2 years ago now and have another video of one in the archives, which I am planning to release at some point soon. On that note, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for many more incredible trips like this to come in 2024 from me, which I of course want you to join me for. Thanks! Crewe is where the catering begins for this particular service and is without a doubt the highlight of taking this train. You have a choice of either a 2-course or 3-course meal with a £3 price difference between the two, with the food offered differing every 2 weeks. The food is freshly prepared in the Onboard kitchen by trained chefs, which is located in the Onboard cafe bar, which also serves light drinks and snacks. Standard class passengers who want to order snacks and light refreshments can use the QR codes displayed at the back of the seats or on tables to either have it delivered or picked up from the dining car. Oh, and of course, there's proper cutlery and dining mats too, and I was served cans of water to keep me going ahead of the meal. Before long, we arrive at Shrewsbury, the county town of Shropshire and located around 9 miles from the Welsh border, though we'll be continuing in England for a little while longer. From an enthusiast perspective, our focus diverts to the Severn Bridge Junction signal box, which is the largest working mechanical signal box in the world. The signalling around Shrewsbury uses traditional semaphore signalling operated from here, and is expected to continue doing so for the foreseeable future. We're now on the core route of the Welsh Marches line as we press on towards South Wales. The scenery on this line is fantastic on a nice summer's day like this, and really makes for a pleasant and relaxing journey between England and Wales. The playing field is also levelled speed-wise for most of Transport for Wales's fleet, as the maximum line speed here is 90 miles per hour, though the coaching stock does lose out slightly from an acceleration perspective. The remaining consist of the Mk4 4-carriage sets is 2.5 coaches consisting of standard class seating in a 2x2 layout with both airline and table seats. Since this video was recorded, most sets have since been extended to 5-coach sets by adding an additional standard carriage for additional capacity, which is desperately needed across the Transport for Wales network. As previously mentioned, the ex-L&ER sets are yet to be refurbished, unlike the ex-Grand Central sets which are shown here. However, I believe the work is expected to begin soon. If you know more, please let me know down below in the comments. For use in Wales, the Mk4s had selective door operation added owing to some platforms being too short for the consists, as seen on the screen as we approached Ludlow, with a view of the ruined 12th century Ludlow Castle in the background. That is until we get bowled by a Class 150. At the time of recording, the lack of new Class 197s introduced and poor reliability of the Mk4s meant that these units would regularly cover the Manchester to South Wales route, which was rather painful. The dining on this train offers a choice of 2 or 3-course meals, of which I went for the former as I wasn't really too hungry, with my main of tuna steak, noodles and vegetables arriving just after departure. My dessert of chocolate fudge cake then arrived just before the next stop of Hereford, and both were absolutely delicious. The food served is from Menu B, with prices and options linked in the below description. Hereford is our last stop in England and where you can interchange with West Midlands Railway services to the Malverns and Birmingham, and GWR services to London and the Cotswolds. To the right is one of the new Class 197s heading to Holyhead, which I have reviewed before on this channel. It's now full speed ahead as we move towards the Welsh border, which we then cross into Wales just over 10 minutes later, around here, shortly after passing Pontrillas to conduct the last hour of the journey crossing to the south of the country. Our first stop in Wales in front of the Sugarloaf Mountain is Abergavenny. The Mark 4 coaches have toilets in each carriage, with the first class coach containing the accessible one, designed for those with reduced mobility. This is definitely one of the cleaner toilets I've seen with Transport for Wales, especially given this set had already done several runs between Manchester and Cardiff. You'll also find amenities such as coat hooks and baby changing facilities. Everything worked well too, so I can't really fault it. Thumbs up! The train makes its last stop on the Welsh Marches at Cwmbran, and leaving the line we're greeted by a series of overhead wires, the line between Cardiff and Severn Tunnel currently being the only operational electrified railway in the country of Wales. We then cross the River Usk to arrive into our final penultimate stop of Newport. An iconic GWR HST is seen arriving as we depart, Cardiff only being a mere 15 minutes away. As for my thoughts, I was honestly amazed by my experience on the Transport for Wales Premier set. The Manchester to Cardiff service is a key intercity route that seems to finally be getting the premium service it deserves. The staff are very attentive and friendly, with the food service being the best I've seen in a long time on UK railways, and coupled with the gorgeous summer scenery, really made this a journey to remember. The cost of my ticket was £37.20, a fixed first class single booked several days in advance, including my 16 to 25 railcard discount. Being only a few pounds more than the standard class fare, which is exceptional value for money, and was reduced even further thanks to delay repay 30 by 50%, given our final arrival time into Cardiff Central was over half an hour late at 6:15. But that's fine, I'm not in a rush and the journey was fantastic regardless. Now you've heard from me, I want to hear from you. Have you tried the Transport for Wales Premier service? What did you think of it and do you plan on taking it in the future? Let me know in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed today's video and don't forget to like and share it, as well as subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more content such as this weekly. Off goes the Premier set to the sidings before heading back to Manchester, whilst I'll be breaking in Cardiff before heading home to London. Thanks so much for coming with me on this trip, and I look forward to bringing you with me on my next one.